Good evening, you tuned into UBC TV. Welcome to the second edition of News Tonight. It's me, Micheal. Lukomwa. Let's start with a look at the top stories. President Yoweri Museveni meets USA ambassador to Uganda, discuss population census. Uganda guarantees privacy, urges Ugandans to provide accurate information during census nomination. Micheal market vendors receive President Museveni's booster package. While officials fail to account for 1.6 billion for activity not implemented in 2023 at Mulago Specialized Hospital. We thank you so much for tuning in and welcome aboard. This is UBC News Tonight. President Yoweri Museveni has today held a productive meeting with the United States of America Ambassador to Uganda, His Excellency William W. Pope, at State House Entebbe. The discussions centered around various critical matters, including the forthcoming population census, which starts tonight, regional peace and stability, and socio-economic development. Recognizing the significance of the population census, the two leaders emphasized the importance of conducting a comprehensive and inclusive count that will provide crucial data for informed decision-making and effective governance. The discussions further delved into regional peace and stability, with President Museveni sharing perspectives on the ongoing efforts to foster peace and security in the region. He underscored the necessity of collaboration and cooperation among nations to address common challenges and promote stability, ultimately ensuring a peaceful environment for the well-being of all citizens. Additionally, President Museveni and Ambassador Pope explored avenues for socio-economic development, focusing on strategies to enhance Uganda's growth and prosperity, as well as improving the long-standing relations between the two countries. Ambassador Pope conveyed his appreciation for the President's valuable time and wise counsel. He also acknowledged President Museveni's extensive knowledge and experience, underscoring the importance of their continued dialogue in fostering a strong and mutually beneficial relationship between the United States of America and Uganda.
But did not support it initially. And we'll be adding get more urbanization, which is good because it is good.
Right.
And that's what we here. So here we are in transition. Pre-capitalist, pre-capitalist mode of life to money system.
Right.
The board chairman, Uganda Bureau of Statistics, Dr. Albert Byamujisha, has allayed all fears of privacy and asked all Ugandans to cooperate and provide true information during the census exercise. Byamujisha also demystified all fears on double counting, noting that the enumerators were thoroughly trained and the technology used automatically eliminates errors.
No population and housing census in Uganda is conducted every 10 years with the primary objective of acquiring essential information on population distribution and other social and economic characteristics. Friday 10th, 2024 has been gazetted as a public holiday to kickstart the Uganda National Population and Housing Census.
That night, where you sleep is where you will be counted.
Thursday 9th, 2024 will be Census Night, a benchmark night or reference point where most of the questions asked by census enumerators will be drawn from what transpired in one's household that night. The chairman of the Board of Directors, Uganda National Bureau of Statistics, Dr. Albert Byamujisha, has clarified the mix-up about the Census Night.
Meaning that we shall count all the persons who will have slept in Uganda, the territories of Uganda, on the 9th, on the night of 9th.
Dr. Byamujisha has urged all Ugandans to cooperate and provide correct information to the enumerators.
So people must be rest assured that the data collected will be confidential, and therefore we call up all upon personalities who will be in Uganda, who will have slept in Uganda on the 9th, to give the correct information.
With assurance of confidentiality, Dr. Byamjisha has urged men not to hide information, especially about the children they have outside their official marriage.
For example, if a man, as you are saying, has 3 wives, and on the night of 9th, he sleeps with wife A, he will be found there and counted there as the head of the household. Now, while wife B, who lives in another place, will also be counted. So the wife in the household B must collect information, who produced the children, or I'm cohabiting with so and so, and we have produced so many children. We have this child here, this one here, the other one there, all of them are his children. But he is not here with us.
The expected 10-day exercise will be conducted by highly trained personnel. Dr. Byamjisha says the technology used is automated to eliminate double counting. The National Population and Housing Census exercise caters for all people irrespective of status, belief, or physical appearance. Dr. Byamjisha has warned all caregivers of persons with a disability against hiding their children, and also warned those who undermine the exercise because of their beliefs.
The actual families should not hide children who are disabled. It should take pride. They should take advantage of this census. The other one of Khalid saying that when you are counted, you will die or do whatever, it will not work. It has never happened. We need to avoid that one.
The provisional results for the National Population and Housing Census exercise are expected to be announced within 2 months after the enumeration exercise. The last National Population and Housing Census exercise that was carried out in 2014 indicated that Uganda had a total population of 34.6 million people, slightly lower than the earlier projected provisional results of 34.9 million. Susan Nawonga reporting for EBC TV.
Dongo Moses, the General Overseer of the National Fellowship of Born-Again Pentecostal Churches of Uganda, has called upon all Ugandans to embrace the census exercise that is kick-starting tonight. Dongo adds that the government, knowing the population of the country, helps in easy planning and implementation of the plans.
Be part of what God is doing in our country, and especially during my generation, whereby I've been appointed and fully elected as the national mobilizer of all born again in Uganda. So my task is very easy as far as the exercise that is taking place in our country, Uganda, which is the exercise of the census. So my task and my obligation and my assignment and my mandate is to mobilize the internal congregation, to mobilize the church of God, to tell you about the updates and what we do and what we need to do as a responsible citizens of the nation of Uganda. Therefore, from this point of view, I would like to welcome and like to also request all our beloved born-again believers, the Pentecostals, to please participate in the census that is taking place right from tonight on the 9th of May 2024. We call it the Census Eve. Please, when they reach out to you, before they reach out to you, tonight where you're going to sleep, make sure you don't vacate that place before you are counted. So tomorrow, stay where you have slept tonight so that you can have yourself counted. Because counting matters. When it comes to counting, even in the Bible, Luke chapter 2, they counted during the days of Jesus. So I request all of us that we can be counted so that we can make a sounding number in the country and also be viable and visible in the country. When you do that, you have done us very good.
Market vendors in Micheal district have been urged to work towards improving their household incomes. According to Princess Pauline Nasolo, a senior presidential advisor, the vendors should desist from politicking and focus on ways to improve their livelihoods through work. Nasolo, who led a team of officials from State House Political Department, made the remarks while delivering President Museveni's business booster package to a total of 238 roadside vendors from 4 markets along Micheal Road. The markets included Chitinkokola, Zigoti, Kabengwa and Kasalaba. Princess Nasolo further explained that President Museveni has always advised Ugandans to engage in money-generating activities such as commercial agriculture with the right enterprise selection to enable them be part of the money economy and improve their household incomes. Another State House official, Flora Kabibi, advised the market vendors, especially the youth, to avoid involving in criminality that could cut their dreams short.
Amagoba amalala n'agasingako.
Tubadde tusuubula enkoko za mitwalo 8 ne kati tubadde mitwalo 10 tugenda kwongera mu capital.
Ebaza muzeeyi mwannyinaze jjajja w'abaana bange yeebale nnyo yeebalire ddala okutujjukira naffe okutuwaayo tusindikamu mu capital waffe kubanga zino ssente ze bampadde ngenda kusuubulamu kyembadde sirina.
Tiimu muzeeyi yasindise ekulemberwa mu Mbejja obubaka bututuusizaako omu ku omu abufunye era tusanyuse nnyo tuli basanyufu kuba kino muzeeyi kyatukoze bannanga asaana kwebaza.
Management of Mulago Specialized Women and Neonatal Hospital has failed to give accountability for 1.6 billion shillings spent on an activity that was implemented in financial year 2022-23, according to the Auditor General's report. Members of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament had held a meeting with the officials at the hospital premises to answer queries in the Auditor General's report, where they also revealed that a dialysis machine procured at 640 million shillings that financial year has not been installed, coupled with failure to repair the ICU machine.
Public Accounts Committee of Parliament has engaged management of Mulago Specialized Women and Neonatal Hospital over a number of queries in the Auditor General's report. Members were first taken through a guided tour and shown some of the services being offered by the hospital. The committee discovered that out of 12 ICUs, only 3 are operational, and out of 12 ventilators, only 3 were operational.
When you are in ICU, you pay 1 million. And if you die earlier, before a week, you pay 500,000. In Uganda, I said, we're fisa, osasula mitwalo 5 per day. So this is the facility we are talking about, where Ugandans are highly charged, but the machines cannot be repaired.
Ventilators do you have?
12 ventilators.
How many are functioning?
Currently, 3 are functional because there are some accessories that we are expecting.
So even the ventilators where you put these babies? 3. Only 3. That's why now I know, Madam, give me the rate of death of babies here.
In financial year 2022-2023, Mulago Specialized Women and Neonatal Hospital asked for 32.02 billion and it was given 31.9 billion. However, the Auditor General's report indicates that out of the 9 billion target on non-taxable revenue, the hospital has only collected 6.9 billion shillings, performance of 77%.
Our response, management response, our NTR target was 7 billion Uganda shillings and not 9 billion as stated. Uganda shillings 6.99 billion was collected.
This query attracted debate on the 72 million shillings, part of the collection that the head of accounts, Lucas Bironji, said was part of the 6.9 billion, and yet the chair said, according to the report, it was not part, and squeezed him to explain where it is.
The 72 million. So it's not a question of adjusting table.
72, I said it's part of the 6
million. No. We have resolved that, sir. We have resolved that 72 is not part of 6 points. It's logical. This is the amount of money you build during the year. This is the amount of money you collected. These are areas.
Yeah, but figures are figures. They communicate. But now when you want to insist and communicate what is not here, Chair, some of us feel down and feel that we cannot proceed.
The confusion was corrected by the Accountant General, who said the financial statement indicates that the 72 million was transferred. This forced the committee to put Birungi on oath since he was giving contradicting information on NTR.
Those who affirm that the evidence I shall give touching the matter before this committee shall be the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
The fact that this hospital only collects 7 billion shillings, the committee interested itself in knowing how much money people pay for different services in the hospital.
100,000?
For normal delivery, 500,000. Okay.
For gold, it is 1 million.
Oh, normal delivery, 1 million.
Normal delivery under gold, 1 million.
Okay. Under platinum?
Now, under platinum, it is 2.5 million.
What?
2.5 million.
Members of Parliament also came to understand that people who are referred to this hospital are supposed to pay, although there is waivers committee. Documents from hospital indicate that 98% of referrals were waivers. On query of outputs and activities implemented, the report indicates that one activity worth 1.6 billion shillings was not implemented. In his submission to the committee, Lucas's response seemed demeaning, which did not go well with MPs.
Of exit meeting, the activity had not yet been implemented.
For you really to have the audacity of saying you are just giving us the information for the sake of our happiness is unheard of, unbecoming, and because of unbearable, and because
we stand here for the taxpayer. And as the chairperson requested, we want decorum and answers to the public.
So if you are spending public money and you think you are pleasing anyone to account, then you are occupying a wrong space.
He was handed over to the CID attached to the committee to make a statement why he was feeding the committee with contradicting information. I'm Nafka Farida and Dan Lukomwa in Mulago.
Fellow countrymen and women, especially the Bazukuru, as we work towards realizing Uganda's Vision 2040, it is important that we plan based on accurate information about our people and our resources. I therefore would like to announce the 6th National Population and Housing Census that will start on the 10th of May 2024. The information from the National Population and Housing Census will support government, the private sector, cultural and religious institutions, civil society, and development partners in service delivery. It will also provide the basis for planning the provision of social services such as education, health, and transport, among many others, at the national and local levels. When data collectors or enumerators come to your home during the census, please avail yourselves and provide them with honest answers to their questions. This is in order to enable them to process the most accurate information about you, your household, institutions, and community. I therefore call upon all political, cultural, and religious leaders, private sector players, civil society, the media, and the institutions of the government to support this key national program. The successful execution of this census will influence the well-being of all Ugandans and progress the country towards the desired socio-economic transformation. I wish you all a successful census for God and my country.
Uganda's biggest tourism and travel trade show of the year is here again. The 8th edition of the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo Poate 2024 under the theme Responsible Tourism will be taking place at the Speak Resort Convention Center, Munyonyo, from the 23rd to the 25th of May 2024. It's your chance to connect with tourism and travel professionals from across the globe. Discover travel holiday deals, packages, and so much much more. Visit www.poate.co.ug to register and be part of the event. The Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo, Poate, is brought to you by the Uganda Tourism Board.
MTN Moment kutusa Bosi live in concert kujahazi PM Nyonyo Mo hip hop kuna rubale Kurokanga 18 Mei 2024 Ena fefe Bosi weekend Kama koma rapo na nyini freestyle Jangola mwana wakulu kutemi kama nganiga sasa liva mchamba Misana na chidonga tuli marapu melele Pokinge mtuale bidi Yebi mtuale tano Emeza kakande Emeza vivya milioni satu Downloading MTN Momo app osaliwe kebijula tano kubulichi 10 ku tiketi woguli kwa MTN Momo tiketi egula mtwalo gumo ade VIP ebiri chitundu tulina ne bote cruise Itedwa musente MC MTN Momo Gibo establishment the angry management.
Over the years we've dreamed to get onto the world stage. We've had that dream crushed. We've witnessed a total defeat of what could have been our greatest moment. We've felt our spirits go up, only to take a hard fall. We've had our fires burn out and leave only scars. We've seized the wind and had it pulled from our grasp. We've seen pain and we've seen loss of the last fragments of hope. But we are made of resilience, and resilience never stops dreaming. So we will dream even bigger with the Cranes Cupbo 2026. Together, let's take Uganda to the next FIFA World Cup.
Together, let's take Uganda to the next FIFA World Cup. For every Now Special you buy, we will give 50 shillings to the Uganda Cranes 2026 fund. You will also get the chance to choose how the Cranes Cupbo contributions are spent. Now Special, official beer of the FIFA World Cup and official beer partner of the Uganda Cranes.
Alcohol is not for sale to persons under 18. Please drink responsibly.
UBC News Tonight, thank you so much for watching and welcome back from the break. Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs Cupbo has advised the ex-combatants of the defunct West Nile Bank Front to invest money government has given to them as their resettlement package. Oboth made these remarks during the launch of the commencement of payment of 5.1 billion Uganda shillings to ex-combatants of the defunct West Nile Bank Front at Cupbo District Headquarters in West Nile Sub-Region.
West Nile Sub-Region underwent immense suffering shortly after the fall of Idi Amin regime in 1979, with most rebels fleeing to exile, giving a rise to insurgencies. In December 2002, the government signed a peace deal with over 2,000 former soldiers of the exiled former President Idi Amin, following years of negotiations.
One of the cardinal principles of the NRM government was restoration of peace and security throughout the country and consolidating national unity through reconciliation and anti-sectarianism.
Finally, government has begun the commencement of payment of 5.1 billion shillings to 4,901 ex-combatants of the defunct West Nile Front Bank at a ceremony held at Cupbo District Headquarters.
We decided to integrate former opposition forces into the National Army to support reconciliation and the restoration of internal security. It is in this context that our work to bring together the former fighting forces in West Nile needs to be understood. After the conflicts among the various fighting groups had been ended, government, in a gesture of goodwill, decided to offer peace dividends.
The Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs, Honorable Oboth, said it's a commitment by the President for the earlier promises to the ex-combatants.
It is in light of this that, with the exception of the Uganda National Rescue Front 1 and the West Nile Bank Front, the rest of the former fighting groups in West Nile were paid their packages.
He said it's a milestone in ensuring the pacification of the West Nile sub-region, that the ex-combatants are resettled back to civilian life.
That has had a direct bearing on the peace and security in West Nile. And also at this early juncture, it is important to highlight some historical aspects that led us to where we are today.
Called upon the people of West Nile to exercise reconciliation as a form of justice, enabling ex-combatants to contribute to their communities and promote social cohesion positively. Haruna Mutesasira, UBC News.
The Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, through its Secretary General, Haji Abbas Mulubya, condemned and rejected all the statements made by lawyer Luyimbaz Nalukola following the decision of the Jinja High Court some day back. According to the High Court in Jinja, it ruled that status quo remains as ordered by court until the 15th of this month, when they will return to court.
The Deputy Secretary in charge of the Administration and Finance of the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, lawyer Haji Ali Muhammad Aluma, all the statements made by lawyer Luyimbazi Nalukola are not true.
I'm seeing outside is totally very, very different from what happened in court. There was a letter which was brought, and the judge was served in court when we were there. That is when the judge was served with the letter saying that the Mufti of Uganda is in contempt of court order. The court order which was made by Honorable Justice Alexandra. By then, she was acting as a principal judge.
Of the resolutions made in Jinja to stay fast, she also recommended that it should apply on both sides. So the status quo had to be as it was on that day when it was made by the principal judge of Kampala.
He also condemned the act of saying that Mufti Mubaje is no longer the Mufti of Uganda.
All due respect, I respect my senior colleagues, lawyers like me, but I feel we need to advise our colleagues, our clients, in the best way possible, and that is professional ethics. Because if you read the order very clearly, it was stopping whatever, the resolution that took place at Gango.
Former Mufti, from that effect, is no longer Mufti of Uganda, Shaban Mubaje. Sheikh Shaban Ramadan Mubaje is
the Secretary General of the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council, Haji Abbas Mulubya, confirmed that the council is still conducting its activities under the leadership of Mufti Shaban Ramadan Mubaje.
Because as a legal person, you're supposed to guide your clients legally. I can read for you the order of Justice Alexandra Nkonge, and this was the second order, and it reads, I quote, "Further execution and further implementation of the resolutions of the General Assembly made on the 16th and 17th December 2023 in Company Cause number 2 of 2023 shall await the hearing and determination of this application by the same judge who made the orders." End of quote.
He also urged all Muslims to be calm, especially during this time of crisis.
Everyone, that the Uganda Muslim Supreme Council is working and everything is okay. We want to allay fears out there arising from some comments from some people saying otherwise. That is not true.
The Anti-Corruption Magistrates Court has charged 2 Obongi local government officials with 2 counts of abuse of office and embezzlement. The 2 are accused of abuse of office, having failed to follow the right procedures in processing of payment of 52 million shillings to a one Philly Vason Pascas as gratuity. Meanwhile, the same court has released 2 former NFA employees on a cash bail of 2 million shillings each.
These persons who are public employees in Obongi local government include Ruzi Baham Gombe, Senior Human Resource Officer, and Adaku Alfred, Chief Finance Officer, that were arrested by the State House Anti-Corruption Unit yesterday on charges of abuse of office and embezzlement. The accused who appeared before Magistrate O.P.T. Christopher of Anti-Corruption Court. Court charged them with 2 counts, among them abuse of office and embezzlement.
Respectively, in the abuse of the authority of their respective offices, did an arbitrary act prejudicial to the interests of their employer, to wit, irregularly processed excess payments in the sum of 57 million as gratuity and salary for the month of April 2021 to Philly Venson Pacas.
They all pleaded not guilty to the alleged offences, with prosecution led by Nicholas Kawoya informing court that inquiries into the case are still ongoing. Through their legal team, the 2 accused persons asked court to be granted bail. The bail application, which was not objected by the prosecution, Magistrate O.P.T. Christopher released the accused on bail.
The sureties execute a non-cash bond of 50 million shillings each. A1 and A2 pay a cash bail of 3 million shillings, each of them. The case is adjourned to the 31st of May 2024 at 9:30 a.m. for mention.
Meanwhile, the Anti-Corruption Court has released the one Jude Pitua, the former employee of National Forestry Authority, as a supervisor, and Mugumia Philipson, the former sector manager of Mamira Forest Reserve, on a cash bail of 2 million Ugandan shillings.
The sureties execute a non-cash bond of 10 million shillings each. The matter is adjourned to the 30th of May at 11 a.m. for pre-hearing.
The 2 are charged with the offences of neglect of duty when they conspired with suspects to carry out massive destruction of Mabida Forest Reserve by carrying out charcoal burning and massive timber cutting. Their arrest followed the ongoing destruction of Mabida Forest Reserve. However, since the 2 were in charge of the forest, they were found with a case to answer by the DPP's office. For court to grant them bail, each has presented 2 to 3 sureties. Among them were fellow workmen. The accused were arrested by State House and Corruption Unit, together with the police. Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
Market traders at Gaba landing site on the shores of Lake Victoria are worried about diseases that could break out as a result of floods that are around the area due to a rise in water levels of Lake Victoria that are a result of heavy rains in the riparian region.
Introduced recently warned the people living near lakes, rivers, oceans and other water bodies to be vigilant following the ongoing heavy downpours expected to cause floodings. At the shores of Lake Victoria in Gaba, the water has risen, broken the levees and escaped its usual boundaries beyond the block point set to separate the harbour from the mainland and the shores.
Luli abamisiri we batukolera omwalo awe gwali kuyita weyo bali bataddewo nga egaye buloka eyawula omwalo n'olukalu ne mu kiseera kino amazzi gakinafuyiza.
The effects of the flooding have already been felt as the sand business is disrupted.
So kitegeeza esaawa yonna nawo gayinza okubagobawo ne baba nga tebakyakolerawo.
This lady, whose name is withheld, was found operating a food kiosk in Gaba. However, the entire environment in which she operates was all filled with water and finds difficulty in reaching to her customers. She's worried about disease and other health infections that could invade them, case in point malaria. Poor hygiene and sanitation is a great challenge, as they lack toilets, which raises concern.
The situation is really alarming. If you find somebody who is staying in Kololo, if he's to live in Gaba for 2 days, immediately he has to fall sick.
Shop attendants and operators say business has dropped since their shops and stores are surrounded by water.
The major problem we are facing is the floods, and we are asking the government to help the vendors who are working in the market, part of our village called the Katogo zone is filled with water. And most of the people staying there are residents.
Crossing from one side to another requires wearing gumboots. The Vice Chairman Gaba Market Dirisa Walusimbi Gamwiru says the thousands face the disruption situation.
Naddala tulina ennaku ze bayita market day Monday n'olwokuna ng'olwaleero naye lutaba Monday na lwakuna abantu baba mu 1500 naye mu kiseera kino abantu abatataaganyizibwa balinga mu 200.
Walusimbi called on the Fisheries Department to fix the block initially constructed to save the populace.
Bino biseera bye baabizimbira twalina ekiddo kye bayitanga water hythen. Ekiseera ekyo kyali kitawaanya nnyo ennyanja ne babanga baali bakizimbye ekitindo kino ku lw'omulamu ogwo nga abantu community ekitindo ekyo kizze kituyamba.
Amwaiva Njuko for UBC.
Uganda gets ready for the population census. The last housing and population census put the doctor to patient and nurse ratio, doctor to patient and nurse to patient ratios at 1 to 25,000 and 1 to 11,000 respectively, a thing that is way below the World Health Organization recommendations of doctor to patient ratio of 1 to 1,000. The State Minister for Higher Education, Dr. John Chrysostom Muyingo, in a speech read for him by the private TVT officer at the Allied Health Division and Health Education Training Department of the Ministry of Education, Healthcare Professions College graduation event, Dr. Paul Kasigaire appealed to Ugandans to stand out and be counted as a way of improving service delivery.
This covenant, I will respect the hard work of those health professionals.
Soon after the oath of allegiance to the noble health care provision, they promised to give quality health care to the underserved Ugandans.
Even our motto says we serve the underserved. So I'm here, I'll make sure that I serve those who can't reach up to get the medication they're supposed to get.
I have made it. Now I'm a graduate, a qualified lab technician, and on top of that, I have managed to be the best performing candidate.
Representing the Minister of State for Higher Education, Dr. Chrysostom Muyingo, the Principal TVT Officer at the Allied Health Division and Health Education Training Department of the Ministry of Education and Sports, Dr. Paul Kasigaire, urged graduates at the Medicare Health Professionals College to reposition themselves to be able to address the modern ways of healthcare service delivery.
You are graduating at a time in history when our world is dealing with enormous challenges. As health workers, all these directly impact your working atmosphere, but you must be willing to position yourselves as professionals who will advance solutions.
Dr. Kasigaire appealed to health workers to be counted during the housing and population census as a way of updating the health service provision data.
To remind all of us to actively embrace the National Housing and Population Census, which starts with the census night on May 9, 2024.
A total of 127 health caregivers have graduated with diplomas in clinical medicine and community health, diploma in public health dentistry, diplomas in medical laboratory, certificate in dental chairside assisting, and certificate in medical laboratory techniques at Medicare Health Professionals College in Mengo, Kampala. A medical doctor, former chairman Ruchiga District, and a director of the first private allied health training institute in Uganda, Dr. S. Kampikaho, has encouraged health caregivers to join politics, saying that it is pivotal in service delivery of health care.
Want you to go out and provide quality care. But remember that this will not be possible unless you participate in politics. If you don't participate in politics, life is going to be very difficult for you. Be leaders there in your communities.
The college patron, Dr. Geoffrey Kabagambe, says healthcare professionals are obliged to observe professional morals and trust by the patients.
Where possible, especially now with the advance of technology, let us follow some of those clients, especially who have complicated issues. How are they doing when they left the hospital? I'm sure they would be happy if they received a message from you.
Characterized by happy moments and cultural dance performances, was a tradition by the college to appreciate Uganda cultural diversity. I'm Ivan Juko for UBC.
A group of Pan-Africanists are spearheading a campaign towards the realization of an Africa without borders. The push comes in a wake of some African countries removing visa requirements for African travelers into their destinations.
A few weeks before she died, Imat Cecilia Ogwal posed this question.
Where did we inherit this culture of violence, killing each other, killing your brother, to take over power? Where did we get it?
And at the same time, answered it.
The brutality that they used to take over Africa, to balkanize Africa, is what probably has made us to copy.
This kind of violence is said to have been inherited by some African brothers, unfortunately killing themselves.
It's a sad thing. It is now recognized that Sudan has been the country that experienced the greatest displacement of persons and generated the largest number of refugees, and yet the African Union is eloquent in its silence.
Addressing such disagreements will require a spirit of African brotherhood, hence the visa waivers.
An African can get on a plane to Rwanda whenever they wish and will not pay a thing to enter our country.
It is time we in this continent realize that having visa restrictions amongst ourselves is working against us.
Pan-Africanists welcome this.
It is a movement in the right direction. Whenever we talk about integration, let us not believe or understand it to mean that tomorrow we will integrate. There'll be many things. You need a customs union. You need a monetary union. You need the removal of tariff and non-tariff barriers.
This is one of the more reasons why a mammoth of Africans are soon meeting in Lusaka, the capital of Zambia.
And we are not stopping, we are not resting until all these colonial borders that were created to divide and conquer us have been completely demolished, have been completely erased, and African people can move across their own continent without need for visas, without any restrictions.
But how possible is realizing a united Africa without borders?
A borderless Africa is possible. What we need is the political will, the legal framework, and the institutional framework. But most African nations are still locked up in the pre-colonial status. The colonial masters in Berlin divided the African continent, partitioned it. And it was for their own political and economic interests.
Mukula's assertion is in agreement with that of General Kahinda Otafire. Both say the colonial borders were not and are not necessary.
This is something that we must quickly uproot. It is absolute nonsense. It does not make sense. The colonial masters who colonized Africa are under the European Union, have a borderless movement regime. And yet Africa, which was colonized in the post-colonial state, we still continue to maintain this absurdity.
That for Europe to develop, Africa must underdevelop. There is that parasitic relationship. It is not too late, they say, but lack of common standards of democracy is seen as a stumbling block towards African unity.
Democracy is an imposition to the African continent by the colonial masters. It's a means of governance. Democracy moves with the free market economy, and they have got institutions that regulate this. You'll find that the Europeans still continue to dictate what must be done or what you must have as a measure for you to qualify to be a free democratic country, to be able to have liberal stance. But I want to tell you one thing. Democracy is a journey that the African continent continues to navigate.
Consolidating this gospel remains top on the agenda of the upcoming engagement in Lusaka.
The one interesting aspect about it is that we're having 2 days of intense conversations, strategizing and whatnot. And then the 25th, which is actually the African Liberation Day, is set aside for a mammoth march in Lusaka to come on the streets and pour out our hearts and demonstrate how much borderless Africa, free movement, one currency, one passport means to us.
Let us all unite and celebrate together.
Borderless Africa is a decentralized, people-owned campaign with an aim of pushing for the free movement of people and goods in Africa. Henry Okrut, UBC.
Uganda plans to conduct the National Population and Housing Census 2024, a digital survey with a computer-assisted personal interviewing system from May 10th to May 19th, 2024. The census intends to collect accurate information on Uganda's population and housing characteristics, which will help in resource allocation, policy formulation, and development planning. Participants are encouraged to take part and provide accurate information to ensure the success of the census.
Abanyakampala na Uganda Yuna. Nobat Events and Awesome Entertainment present Ragey live in Gosa at Lukomwa Cricket Oval on 10th May 2024. Tickets are 20k ordinary and 50k VIP, 1 million gold table and 2 million platinum table. Buy your discounted tickets off the Momo app at only 10k ordinary and 25k VIP. Come represent for Ragey. It's gonna be non-stop entertainment.
We've hit refresh with Castle Lights. A premium new look. With the shiny silver label. An innovative cold indicator. A premium green neck label for a crisp and easy drinking beer. Fresh new look. Experience the fresh Newcastle Light.
Leaders decry limited funding to restore bridges which were washed away by heavy rains. Currently, different villages in Napak have been cut off by floods like Apeitolim, Lotome, Lokopo, sub-counties, among others.
Mid-April this year, Karamoja sub-region has been receiving heavy rains, which lead to the flooding of communities in Amdat, Napak and Neblatuk districts. This is Iriri Apeitolim Road. We are welcomed by the signpost road closed. The electricity pole had fallen in the middle of the road due to heavy downpours. UBC maneuvered and managed to join the main road. On our way to Apeitolim, villages and gardens were still flooded. Before we reached Poron Trading Center, we were welcomed by another warning signpost, road closed. The road had flooded. People could not cross to either side. Youth in this village saw this as an opportunity, as they were carrying people on motorcycles between 5,000 to 10,000 shillings. Many people, including soldiers on transfer, were not spared.
I'm supposed to give them 8,000 because of these two people. The other one and this one of mine. Because I'm just rescuing the colleague of mine, which is armed.
Pia tunabeba yeye huko pale paka juu mbele, alafu ndio tangulia kutembea. Akitaka akienda huko Kazilim, akitaka aende Apeitolim.
We are getting right now, even you can even see. Now we are now reached the time for getting our supply food. Where are we going to get our supply? How are we going to survive this month? And for sure, right now, even we see even transporting just a picky. One picky going the other side, they charge you 10,000. Now you'll find out even the reason where we are just here. People that are many. The survival is a problem. The barrack which was here has been shifted. You can even see the other side.
Homes and gardens were submerged in water. A military detach was relocated in Napak district. Roads connecting Kongole to Lotome and Matani to Wabiem were washed away. Locals decry how they suffer to take a far route to access the nearby villages.
It was affected by water and to destroy this bridge. And it started from that side of Lotome. I think Lotome was the first one, followed by this one, the second one. Then you go to the other side of Lopei also to destroy it. You can come from all here, and then you shall see where is of accessing, passing here. Unless you pass behind the other side of the bridge, the main highway. That's why you can access now. When you want them to buy something, you pass the other side.
Leaders say they have limited funding to work on the road.
Do much, especially the bridge of Kangolishin, the bridge of Lotome, because that requires a lot of money. It requires nearly 2 billion to work on that bridge.
Meanwhile, leaders in Napak district say they are ready for census, however they are worried as floods may interrupt census.
Floods that we had in the last 3-4 days. Some bridges have already been washed away, so some people cannot access. And that of course has brought another disaster. Most likely going to miss out some areas until the rain subsidizes.
Very prepared as Napak district, and security-wise we are also prepared. And today actually we are deploying and in areas that we are maybe in areas that we think maybe there could be some risk of maybe insecurity. So we have deployed in those areas already today.
It's called Lukomwa, which is already cut off. Some culverts are cut off, and that's a road which is being worked by UNRWA. And then Apeitolim is also cut off on the side of accessing from Poron, because the river called Lokere is full. And then well, there are some areas after Amedek that you cannot access.
With the need to monitor and regulate air quality, National Environment Management Authority has launched the first ever National Environment Air Quality Standard Regulations. The launch of the regulations that has concluded the Air Quality Awareness Week was at State Minister for Environment, Beatrice Anywa, as the presiding officer.
According to the World Health Organization data, air pollution causes 6.7 million premature deaths annually. Air pollution is mainly caused by burning of fossil fuels, industrial emission, indoor air pollution, wildfire, transportation, and open burning of garbage waste, with the increasing cases resulting from air pollution, where Uganda registers 31,600 people with related diseases annually. This prompted National Environment Management Authority (NEMA) to come out on addressing the prolonged challenge of air pollution. Although the effects of air pollution are visible, the public has not desisted from actions that cause air pollution, which acts carry penalties.
So if you're caught burning the wastes, you're going to face imprisonment for 4 years. A penalty for the companies, it is a fine not exceeding 50,000 currency points.
Now NEMA, together with other partners for the whole week, embarked on engaging different stakeholders in planting trees and sensitizing the public on how to conserve the environment, the move aimed at observing air quality. As NEMA aims at advocating for air quality, they have launched the National Environment Air Quality Standards Regulations. The regulations were launched by the State Minister for Environment, Beatrice Atim Anywa, who highlighted the government's move to address air pollution.
We are really doing a lot with conservation, planting of trees, and we are partnering with various partners. And the beauty of it is that there's a huge political goodwill. His Excellency the President is spearheading this, and he's one of the ambassadors of conservation of this environment. So it's high time we take the right choice: prevent or treat and lead to death.
Bailega Kankwasa, the Executive Director NEMA, revealed their move to regulate the use and importation of poor engine vehicles in the country to address the challenge of air pollution.
The law and standards should be just a beginning point to guide our actions. So it is the actions that will make.
For Luwero, Rwenzori Triangle, Alice Kaboyo has advised leaders from Busoga to combine efforts in changing people's livelihoods.
Farmers from different parts of Busoga sub-region are jubilating after receiving hand hose from the Ministry of Luwero, Rwenzori Triangle. Launching the distribution of over 50,000 hand hose, the Minister of State for Luwero Rwenzori Triangle, Alice Kaboyo, advised beneficiaries to utilize the hose productively.
To ensure that our people engage in active production and we raise the household incomes.
The Minister says the OPM, through her ministry, is committed to work with all relevant stakeholders to ensure Busoga sub-region attains middle income status by 2026.
The Office of the Prime Minister, through the Ministry of Luwero Triangle, is committed to work with all relevant stakeholders, especially you leaders who are gathered here, to ensure that Busoga sub-region attains middle income status.
The chairperson of Busoga Parliamentary Caucus, Isabire Idi, warned district administrators that keep relief from government in stores instead of giving them to intended people.
The chief administrative officer should really do the needful. How can you keep food in the stores yet the beneficiaries are suffering? This can really beat someone who's understanding, because at the time of need, you cry and the leaders really woke up and these food items are released, and then instead of distributing the food items to the beneficiaries, you keep them in stores.
The RDC Ginger disclosed that fragmentation remains a challenge in Busoga.
Another issue on Minister we need to address is land fragmentation. Still a very big challenge. As officers of the RDC, we are seeing many of these.
If really we are to consider the uses of a hand hoe, they are endless. So we are so appreciative as leaders, as members of parliament from Busoga.
Farmers appreciated President Museveni for remembering them.
I feel very happy and proud because I have worked for NRM for so long, since my childhood. And indeed, if they really recognize us to this level, chino chitusanyusa era bandigenze mu maaso.
Mama webale ino namukiza President Museveni nti Busoga esimye kuba gatuko boti banange abantu tulyenga okamuogo baba tufunie embagala ja kulima muwogo.
A total of 52,746 handholds have been distributed to all districts of Busoga sub-region at a cost of over 580 million Uganda shillings. Mario Nawori and Andrew Sebira for UBC.
The glamour that the National Basketball League presents has continued to manifest, with key partners joining at a time when teams are contesting playoff positions.
Momentous stride for basketball in Uganda, with Castlelight committing a sum of 500 million Uganda shillings to the ongoing 2024 National Basketball League. The title sponsorship was announced during a media briefing at Fairway Hotel in Kampala, where the FUBA CEO, Marcus Kwikiriza, said that the financial injection from Castlelight is poised to provide much-needed support to the league and the participating clubs.
We are going to be the title sponsors of the National Basketball League. This is going to be running for 1 year, of course renewable, depending on how it performs, but something that could help basketball in the right direction. We are sponsoring a value worth 500 million shillings for this year alone. Of that 500 that he spoke about, there is amount of cash that is coming to FUBA. Other things are going to operate and to activate and to make sure, but he'll break that down. Of that money that is coming to FUBA, which is exactly 200 million, some of it is to run our operations so that we never have referees complaining about dues, blah, 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 pay for arenas, etc., etc., the things that Hudson manages well. And to make sure that clubs get some of that money to ease the burden on their operations. It means, which is now our request, that you can be able to use some of your now saved resources to help us create a bigger fan base for your clubs.
The one-year deal has an option for renewal at the end of the season after a thorough review.
More than just a partnership.
Elsewhere, State Minister for Sports Peter Ogwang has reiterated government commitment to improve sports infrastructure to especially benefit the youth.
What they need to do, and a big project which we are coming in to invest in, is that arena. Government is going to spend $207 million to construct a state-of-the-art indoor arena in Lukomwa. That is going to be a complex, a sports complex, a sports city, which is entirely focusing on all indoor games.
The minister was at Golden Tulip in Kampala, where he graced the launch of a 500 million Uganda shillings annual sponsorship that will run for 5 years for Jetty Jaguar Basketball Club from Goldmine Finance.
The more private sector comes to work with us, the more we reduce the burden on government, and the more government puts much of this money into infrastructure development. That's what comes what JT Jaguar was talking about. I am interested in infrastructure. Mr. Director, sir, also, I once said this. I am not happy for me going to put a tarmac. It has an effect on those children because that's not the right playing surface for basketball. We all know that.
The performance-based sponsorship takes immediate effect.
Performance starts from discipline of the players on and off the court. That's number one. Number two, wins, which you have. And the bigger chunk of that money is on continental. If you realize that the last 10 years, there are some ladies teams which have qualified for zone 5 and they are unable to travel. This is something which you have got as a push. This is a young team. We have a 5-year plan. We are going to grow. 2026, 2027, we have to be somewhere. That's when the money will come out of the bank.
The 3-year-old Jetty Jaguars that's proud of players like Joseph Chuma and Yasman Bushiri piles its tread in the respective genders of the National Basketball League.
We are not just supporting the JT Jaguars as a team. I believe that we are supporting our country, we are supporting our youth, and in that, in supporting our youth, we are supporting our future. So I think it is not right to say, where does Goldmine benefit? I think it's right to say Uganda is benefiting. Our youth are benefiting.
As it stands, the ladies' team is well placed on the log, while the men are fifth, meaning both are still in contention for playoff places. The ladies that have Sarah Angeno and Brenda Kagaya in their ranks return to action this weekend against Miracle Ravens.
That brings us to the end of all we had for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching from wherever you are. My name is Micheal Jordan Lukomwa. Be prepared to be counted. It's just an hour to the time for the start. That's midnight. So please be ready to be counted as we start our 6th National Housing and Population Census. Enjoy the rest of the night. Bye-bye.